Hey, Seth.
Hey, Allie.
So today is our first midterm candidate interview.
Right,
And when we talked about doing this podcast, one of the things that was really important to both of us was focusing on the midterms, right?
right,
Focusing on finding the progressive, grassroots, democratic candidates that we feel good about interviewing and platforming because it's not going to be enough just to win the midterms. We got to make sure we have the right people in there.
right. And so it all starts with the primaries. The primaries, of course, is where each party decides within its own self who's the face that we're going to put out there. And this for Democrats is incredibly important because we want to platform the right kinds of Democrats. Not every Democrat is your friend. Not every Republican is your
They're not
friend.
all created equal.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and right now in our country's history, and I know you feel the same way, is that it is time. This is our moment to get some grassroots, progressive candidates in there. And
Mhm.
it kind of started with Bernie. It has continued through. Zoran Mamdani is the latest, example of it. And you got to strike while the iron is hot. These populist views,
Absolutely.
progressive views, they're looking real good in the face of the current disaster that is the Trump administration.
I can't agree more. I mean, we need to clean out these status quo Democrats. We need to, first of all, reject them out of pocket. We don't want to primary that. We don't want to vote for them in the midterms. We are looking for the cream of the crop, right? People that are not afraid to say, I am a progressive Democrat. I am a democratic socialist. And I hope eventually we can weed out all of those corporate Dems, those status quo Dems from the party. But midterms is where it's really going to start. And I think it's an opportunity to really reshape the Democratic Party starting in November.
Absolutely.
So today we've got an interview with Mike Heidenreich. He is running for Congress in Wisconsin's 6th district. We've met with him before. We've met him. He's come up on your live, right?
Right. That's right. And Mike is,
Great guy.
and he's been going around different lives, kind of getting the word out. And I mean, he's I love Mike because he's just like a down home guy, normal
Yeah,
guy. There's nothing fake about Mike. Mike is just
literally.
giving you who he is. And I really hope that everybody sees that in our interview with him, just how
Me
down
too.
home he is and how, especially if you're in Wisconsin, you gotta look. You gotta give this guy a look. And if you know people in Wisconsin, y'all, like even if you don't live in Wisconsin, like look, they're 50 states. We're gonna go state
Mhm.
by state. So if you know some people around there, some friends, you have some family in Wisconsin, tell them to give Mike a look because
Yeah,
he's the real deal.
such an authentic guy. Um, Lifelong career working in the union. He's been volunteering in politics for years, starting with the first Obama campaign.
Mm.
Um, and now he's reached a point in his life where, he feels like the only way he can really make a difference is to put his hat in the ring. So, really looking forward to this conversation and see you on the other side.
Can't wait.
We've got Mike Heidenreich. He is running for Wisconsin Congress, the 6th district, right, Mike?
That is correct. That is
Welcome.
correct. Thank you.
So, Mike, first
Good to be
tell
here.
us a little bit about yourself. So, what's your background? What made you even want to do this?
So many things, but my background is well for I've been lifelong Wisconsinite. I have lived here my whole life. I haven't ever really wanted to go anywhere else, but I love it here. And I moved around the Madison area for some time until I got my current position at a power plant south of Portage, and I have worked there for the last 17 years. 14 at the power plant, 17 with the union in total. I've been a union worker for that entire time. But before that, one of the interesting coincidences was when I I got really involved in politics right after high school. Like right out of the gate, I was doing political canvassing in very, very red districts. I was the guy they sent out in Washington County because they're like, no one's gonna, take a shot at him. He looks too nice.
Right.
And I literally would go to I go to Republican congressmen's houses and like try and sell them on the Democratic Party. They're like, you know who I am? It's like, no, I was an 18-year-old kid. What would I know? But I I loved it. I loved it because I genuinely believed in what I was talking to people about. And the Obama campaign came around and it felt like it wasn't just hope, it was, hey, this is your opportunity to do something to make the world a better place.
Mm,
And we're not going to tell you what that thing is. We're just going to give you the tools to do it. Go out
mm.
and make it work. And by God, we did. We ended up, I think we had like 300 some volunteers under us just in that one little precinct. And we, towards the end, I was celebrating in a union hall, and it was my union
Oh, that's so
that I would
cool.
later join. I was like, this is a really nice place. I mean, they got the table was all engraved, and it was it was 965's old location across from where I lived, and we were working out of there for quite some time,
Mhm.
and it was so rewarding. And I shortly after got my job, and it was the kind of job you work all the time. You
Mm.
just work, work, work. And so I thought, hey, I think I can, the Obama was firmly in office. I was like, I feel like I can actually take a breath and earn some money, support my family. And
Yeah.
so I did that for about 8 years, 9 years. And that Trump got elected, and I saw what was going on, and I was like, ooh, I need to get at least re-involved as a volunteer, but
Hmm.
also start thinking about maybe I need to do something more.
Okay.
And Biden got into office, COVID happened, everyone was, uh, life altered a lot. And
Yeah.
when when it looked like we were going towards one of the more politically turmoil filled eras in our life, I said, okay, I need to get re-involved. It
Hmm.
also helped that they got my work pretty fully staffed up so I could actually take time
Take the
off.
time. Yeah. That
Whereas
makes sense.
before, you can't do that when you're working 60 plus hours a week almost every week. But now that I actually have that time, I said I'm going to help. And so I helped one of my neighbors and one of my neighbors from down the way. They got the state assembly and state senate seats in this area. And
Hmm.
they're doing great. Maureen and Sarah are amazing state rep and state senator. I couldn't be happier for them. And that was the 24 election. And I mean, we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
And I was like, literally, the only thing we didn't win as Democrats in what was previously a pretty red district was the presidential election. It was the only thing we
Mm.
lost. And I
We
realized
see this a lot. We've seen that. We saw that a lot with a lot of swing states.
Yeah.
I thought
and
that was
there
very
were
strange.
Trump voters who voted from the state senator I was helping get elected. I was like, that doesn't make
It
sense.
happened
Like,
all over the country. It was bizarre.
I, I I can't really answer why. I have some theories, but what it comes down to is they, it's the thing that I have been talking about now in my election for some time. A lot of politics comes down to, do you know who the heck that is? Do
Yeah.
you recognize their name? Do you recognize their face? Can you identify anything? Even if you dislike them, do you know who they are?
Right.
Because a lot of people, especially people who politics does not matter as much about, like it's not really a part of their lives on a daily basis. When they get in the voting booth, a lot of times they just look at it and go, who's that? I don't know who
Uh-huh.
any of these people are.
Yeah.
And we forget how often politics does not penetrate to someone who doesn't care about politics. We're,
Yeah.
we're in it, right? We are involved on a daily
Yeah.
basis. I get more political news than I know what to do with. But someone who isn't necessarily hearing about any of this. That's why some of the things that happened in Minnesota changed so much, because it didn't matter if you were aware politically or not, you saw that.
Yeah.
That got through. And that's the kind of thing that we're starting to see. Oh, people are actually paying attention because it's getting through the noise.
Right.
And I really wish it didn't have to get through that way, but
I
yeah.
know. Me too. Me too. I'm glad that they're starting to pull out of Minnesota now. I hope sooner than later they'll all be gone and let that community rebuild. It's been
I'm
a
I'm
struggle
hopeful.
and an inspiration, both.
I'm hopeful, and yes, it has been. But by the way, bravo to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like you guys got it done for the Midwest. And what I'm concerned about is there's been some. It's looked like one of the next areas on their list was Wisconsin,
Ugh.
and so we were. There's been a lot of people saying, "Okay, what do we do if
Hmm.
this BS crosses the border? What do we do to support our neighbors to make sure this doesn't affect them?" Because we saw how it was beaten back there. And it
Right.
was by everyone banding together and saying, no, you're not going to kidnap our neighbors. You're not
Hmm.
going to destroy people's lives. We are going to fight you tooth and nail. And we're going to do it in a way that it makes it obvious who the bad guys are,
It was
that
really
it makes it
remarkable how they
obvious.
came together. It was beautiful and an example and taught, I think, all of us so much about resistance in a peaceful way. I mean, they were peaceful,
I think that
um,
was I
and
think that was the
effective.
biggest thing. Like
Yeah.
Trump went in there absolutely telling them, "Hey, do whatever you got to do." And then he may not have said it directly to them, but in the back of his mind, he's like, I'm trying to institute martial law."
Yeah.
That's why he defended them after the first murder, the second murder, and it didn't matter. You know, he was looking to get
Looking for an
Minnesota in such
excuse.
a tizzy so that
Hmm.
they responded violently to the violence, and they should be given um, so much credit for not giving in when they rightfully could or should have.
I heard they were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and
Wow.
They
I know it's
deserve
kind
it.
of early to be thinking about that, but I mean, they definitely, I would love to see that happen.
There's nothing that unifies, especially people from the Midwest, like when you start doing things to our neighbors
Yeah.
that we would find this despicable.
So, Mike, talk to Seth and I about you're running for the sixth district in Wisconsin. What is the sixth district? What area does that make up?
So the sixth district is one of the bigger districts in Wisconsin, and I pull it up on a map all the time just to look and see, hey, is that is my understanding of it perfect as to how it's going? And it is basically I'm the far southeast or southwest corner. It
Okay.
goes all the way to Lake Michigan,
Okay.
all the way north to Two Rivers, and actually some other parts as well. I suppose Two Creeks would be the far northeast corner. And then it comes down around Lake Winnebago and then back up all the way to Plainfield in the upper left hand corner. So it's basically like a big square
Mm-hmm.
that takes up, I want to say about a fifth of the state.
A fifth.
There's a
That's
really,
big. That's
there's
big.
a really, I mean, it's 750,000 people, and
Okay.
we don't have that many cities in it. So a lot of them are very spread out.
So it's
And
rural.
oh, it's very rural.
Yeah.
Oshkosh is probably one of the bigger cities. Fond du Lac, Manitowoc, and Sheboygan, and Port Washington and Mequon are in there. But those are all not large cities. Those are all like kind of suburban areas, and maybe Sheboygan and Oshkosh being among the bigger ones. But most of it's farm country,
Yeah.
rural areas. I've got a lot of places where Marquette in particular, we were just talking, it's much easier to call around because if you're canvassing door to door, you're basically in your car the whole time.
I bet. Yeah, because of the distance. So,
Hmm.
um, I mean, I think I have a good guess, but since Trump took office the second time around, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're seeing in your district?
Um, so we have a lot of farmers,
Yeah.
and the farm industry in Wisconsin, it doesn't matter what you were raising, it doesn't matter what you were growing, took a huge hit with the tariffs, which now, of course, it's like, how do you even go back and take back all that now that the Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that? And
Hmm.
it's like, I'm not even sure how they're going to go about refunding all of that, if
If
they
they
even
even
could.
can.
It's a
Yeah.
If they even
disaster.
can, yeah. It's genuinely going to mess up our trade,
Hmm.
and some of those markets aren't ever coming back. Some
Yeah.
of those markets are not ever coming back, especially the soybean market.
Oh, they've been
Especially,
decimated. Yeah.
I mean, there are farmers who literally cannot farm, or it's not profitable for them.
Right.
And that's just the farmers. You look at literally anyone in our area, and there's no one here who's like, yeah, this was great. I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, tourism. Tourism is a
Yeah.
big part of our area. We have Wisconsin Dells. It actually like kind of points over, and literally just the city of the Dells is in my district. We've got all these national parks. Do you know who our number one visitor was to those national parks besides
Ca-
people from Illinois?
Canadians.
Canadians. They
Yeah.
were a good they were a good third of our tourists. Do you see any coming
Why would
in
You
this
know,
they?
it's
environment?
funny
Why would they?
because it's funny because we were talking about how the snowbirds are not coming to Florida, and people miss out on the fact that they're not supporting a lot of our border states,
Right.
and that, of course, that goes into tourism. And that is a damn shame. That's a damn shame.
It it
It's all the unintended consequences that people don't
ooh,
necessarily know are going to happen when you're in the moment and you're like, yeah, tariffs, bring back the jobs, bring back the better trade deals. Look at our deficit. Well, it turns out our deficit was made worse by the tariff war also. So
do, do you know how scary our situation as a country economically is right now?
Oh, yeah.
Because the because
We
the
talk
rest
about
of
it
the
every day.
world because the rest of the world is going, oh, if the United States isn't going to be the world leader in terms of securing everyone's ability to trade, then we're going to have to find other people to do it.
Exactly.
Right now, Canada is being led by a person who's widely considered one of the best economists in the world,
Hmm.
and he is basically brokering deals between Europe and China and all the
Yeah.
other Pacific trading partners that were previously our trading partners.
Hmm.
And they're basically saying, look, if the US isn't going to take part in the world economy, in a rules based economy, I believe is how he called it,
Yeah.
then we have to. And so they're trying to arrange it so people can transit their goods through what previously was the United States' ports and the United
Hmm.
States' currency. And that's the underpinning of our entire economy.
Absolutely.
And I don't
S-
think Trump realized any of that or cared. He probably
I
just
don't think he
didn't care.
cares.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he didn't.
he didn't think about the consequences
yeah,
or care about the consequences.
yeah.
Why would he?
Yeah.
Let me ask some, Mike, because you're a union guy. You're a union
I
guy,
am.
and a lot of union people, they stick by their guns. They vote Republican, no matter what. For whatever reason, that seems to be a problem, a place where Democrats miss a whole lot.
It
Why do you think that Democrats and the unions don't seem to jibe? And what are the maybe two or three issues that are the most important to people that you talk to in your unions?
You named one of them. I'll tell you right now, guns are a big one because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people who work in unions also own firearms. I own firearms. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have a culture of hunting, a culture of going to the range up here. Like
Yeah.
it's not like that was never a thing that was known. I think that it it's been a years long process of basically telling union members, hey, we recognize we're gonna, basically hurt you economically every chance we get. But all this other stuff's more important. So let's focus on how we can, hate this group or how
Right.
we can say we're going to support you on this thing, but actually not.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been doing this for years. They've been telling, I've had arguments with people in my union where they said, how can you support that horrible president who's going to take your guns away? And then just recently I was like, you know, I never heard a Democratic president say you can't bring a gun to a public thing. Never
No,
once. But I
never.
heard Trump say it last Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard any public official who was a Democrat say that they were going to arrest you for having a firearm that you were
Exactly.
legally allowed to own. But I heard multiple members of his cabinet say it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I, I I know we get the idea that Democrats are the, people who are against
Co-
2A
coming for your guns.
coming for your guns, right? But
Never happened.
it was never about that.
No.
And and I just think that a lot of union members are starting to realize that they've been getting kicked in the teeth economically for years because of promises that they weren't actually even getting.
Yeah.
Things that they were told, oh, we'll never do that. We're going to make government small. We're going to lower your taxes.
Right.
Taxes are a huge one.
Yeah.
And this last this last bit, I had to ask people, so what's a tariff? A tariff's a sales tax on
Mm-hmm.
you, on the purchaser, on the person who's finally going to purchase the thing because it's charged to the person who's selling it. Do you think they don't pass those costs on to the customers?
Right.
I think they determined in the final, and this was a relatively conservative think tank, 94% of the tariffs costs were passed on to the consumers.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, we haven't even seen all of the tariffs come through. A lot of the stuff that happened before was because of old inventory that they had that they could still sell at a reasonable rate. So they've been slowly building that up. So hoping that people won't notice, hey, it costs thousands more to do this now. You can't get an automobile just about anywhere for the near the same price because everything's going up in price.
Yeah.
I know in particular how he treated Canada and Mexico. I mean, I don't think people realize in the last trade agreement, we're a very cross-border kind of automotive industry now.
Mm-hmm.
Not just plants down there, but parts.
Yes.
So, like, let's say the factories in Michigan, but the aluminum might come from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
This part might come from Mexico. We had a very active border of the automotive industry going back and forth. And as soon as those tariffs went into place, you can't have a 50% increase on anything and expect it not to vastly increase the final product's price.
Yep. Yep.
So we're getting squeezed any number of ways now in places that union folks actually it will matter.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that doesn't, that I don't think people realize is you've all seen what he's done to the National Labor Relations Board. He's
Mm-hmm.
basically packed it with people who don't look at unions, which just makes me shake my head. He's packed it with people who don't look at unions as worthwhile things to have.
Exactly.
In many
He's always been anti-union.
oh,
Always,
very.
always.
Right
In
to
his
work.
private career, in his
Right to
personal
work.
career. Yeah.
And so he basically, I mean, if you're right now going to negotiate a contract or you're thinking about doing a strike because your company that you're working for is not obeying the safety rules or something's going on where you think there's going to be a conflict, would you trust that that labor relations board is actually going to have your back?
Right.
Would you trust that this president is going to just not say, no, you can't strike?
Mm.
And this is the thing that I think a lot of union members are starting to wake up.
So do you
And
feel if you win the primary and you're elected into Congress representing your district, do you feel that that's kind of where your mindset is as you enter your term? Would you be thinking about, your neighbors, the working class,
oh,
your fellow union members, and that's kind of informing
the
what's
only
important to you? Yeah.
the
Okay.
only reason I'm doing this is because I want to see people who aren't in the top 1% actually
Mm-hmm.
be able to continue to live.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one on this app or any of these online apps other than Elon Musk, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
who who is in a position where Donald Trump and by extension the Republican Congress and Senate are benefited by the rules they put into place.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have any benefits. I told people I didn't say I want to run for Congress because I want to be a congressperson. I want to run for Congress almost out of self-defense
Yeah.
because what they're doing is going to squeeze everybody day by day, neighbor by neighbor, so that they cannot afford to live.
Mm.
And that's going to have effects up and down the board. And I can't just keep watching this and going, someone else will fix it. No, they
Yeah.
won't. It's on us. It's on
Yeah.
us.
I completely agree. So, okay. Seth, do you have any questions before I move on?
Yeah. Because so in the presidential election, Wisconsin was actually the smallest margin of victory for Donald Trump
I
when he went
know.
against Kamala. So, and I mean I think that might surprise some people because people look at Nevada and they thought Nevada was going to be a lot more blue than it ended up being. But it's actually Wisconsin that has the shortest amount of ground to make up. So my question to you is, what do you think what can push you guys over the edge in the midterms and really in general when it comes
I
to Wisconsinites?
I think we're already there. I think people I I'm always shocked. Yes, there are some people, maybe 30% of the country is always going to be very much pro conservative mindset, very much pro Donald Trump. There's a decent chunk of people who are like that. What I was shocked by is the number of people who are coming out, not just Democrats, independents, and even very hardcore Republicans, people who have been Republican since before I was born, coming out and saying this isn't our country. This isn't what we voted for.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people on my side are like, well, yes, it is what you voted for,
Mhm.
but not to them it wasn't.
Right.
And I am
Such a
absolutely
disconnect. It's crazy.
well, and we were talking about this earlier. Not everyone's that political.
Yeah.
Not everyone,
Yeah.
in fact,
That's a great point.
the majority of people are not that political. For the majority of people, politics is something they don't want nothing to do with. They don't really want to know about it. It's been given this impression of that's where bad people go, or
Hmm.
that's where people who want power go. I had someone who I actually have to answer on TikTok in just a little bit. I just remembered that. He asked, who's paying for your campaign?
Yes.
And
That's one of my questions too.
the response I'm about to give him is you are.
Hmm.
Because if you don't pay for it, I'm not taking corporate PAC money. I'm
Yeah.
not taking money from special interest PACs that are basically just there to get me to do something my constituents won't want me to do. If a union wanted to give me money, sure, I'm already supporting unions. You know that. Like
Yep.
that's not a surprise. If an organization that was trying to organize for universal health care wanted to give me money, I wouldn't just take their money. I'd say, hey, guess what? This organization gave me a ton of money for universal health care because it's
Right.
something I'm already doing. That's the kind of thing where it's like, yeah, I want to do those things. I want to achieve those things. And if you're telling me that the thing you're trying to get me to do is something I'm already doing, well, yeah, I want to help do better for my constituents. But
So
it's
no
my
corporate PAC money,
no.
no APAC money, no dark money, right? This is the
What would be the
thing.
point?
This is what I keep trying to drive home, right? And this is why we're doing these segments and platforming candidates that we believe in, because it is not going to be enough just to flip the House and potentially flip the Senate. We have to make sure we are putting the right people into those positions. Otherwise, we will never, ever claw our way out of this.
And you've
Not every
seen
Democrat is your friend.
No,
Not every Democrat is for the people.
no.
there's
So
been an example in almost every generation. My generation, it was probably Manchin and Sinema,
Uh,
and I'm not even sure I pronounced their
and
names
now
right.
Fetterman,
And now
right?
Fetterman, I I, I really don't want to be like super cruel to him because I'm
I
relatively
know, I
sure
know.
his flip was actual brain damage.
It could
I
be,
mean,
yeah.
I-
mm,
that's
But
actually
but that in itself is an issue, right? If you
absolutely,
suffer that kind of injury while you are
absolutely.
serving constituents, you should we should really reconsider. How do you feel about term limits? How do you feel about,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. I do.
yeah,
I do not want to do this for the rest of my life.
right.
If I'm still in this at 80 years old, we are not doing a good enough job building the future of our party. If I'm
Yeah.
still doing this at 80 years old, then we're not doing a good enough job mentoring the next generation. I'm right now talking to people who are coming out of high school, going into college, and I'm looking at them and going, "Hey, in a few years, you should think about running for office
I
because you've
love
got
that.
the chops." And
Yeah.
that is the kind of thing we should be passing on is a tradition of service, a tradition of people who want to make the world a better place and saying, okay, if I'm going to do that, how do I do that?
And for
And
the
you
right reasons.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. You can't just I don't want to get into office just to get into office. That
Hmm.
I don't. I was very happy working my union job. I would have
Yeah.
been happy to do that until retirement, retire, and go fishing. Like
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't need. I didn't need all the aggravation of running for Congress,
Especially
but
these days, getting into
I
politics
gotta.
in 2026 is not like getting into politics when we were kids, right? This is this is so the discourse is so it's extremely toxic at times. It's very divisive. Um, so I
We were.
think you have to have, I think you're either one of two things. You're either looking at this as an opportunity, not you, but in general, people are looking at this as an opportunity to enrich themselves and grab onto power for the wrong reasons, or you're willing to actually be a public servant, which requires sacrifice, right? And
Absolutely.
stewardship and doing something to make this country closer to what we all believe it should be.
It means that you're willing to basically sacrifice actual years of your life
Yeah.
to go out and do this. This is every moment of every day that I have spare, and it's going to be that way probably as long as I'm doing it. And if it weren't for the fact that I don't see a way that our country can go forward unless we keep changing we need structural changes in this country.
Mhm.
There is not a way that someone my kids' age can say, I'm thinking I'm going to take part in the American dream and own a home and go to college and get a good job. Like they don't believe that's going to happen.
Why would they?
Why would they? Because it's out of reach for the majority of people in America. It's not even close to in reach.
Yeah.
And I'm talking people who are making good money, but the housing market is so far out of reach. Most of them can't even dream that.
I
The
think I
just the
just
rental
heard
market.
it's great. All of it is so insanely priced. And I think I heard just recently there was a statistic that first time home buyers are now averaged age 50. I mean, you're not even, what are the chances you're even going to pay that home off and enjoy a mortgage free? We never really own our homes because we have property taxes. So that's just my little rant. But just not having a mortgage or a rent payment, if that's the age of you're just gaining access to that dream, to that possibility, we clearly have gone so far in the wrong direction.
I have to ask, why do you guys, just both of you, why do you think your property taxes are so high?
Mm.
I mean, legitimately, why do you think your property taxes are as high as they are? There's a definite reason. There's a
I'm
cause.
gonna go. I'm gonna go mismanagement at the local level.
Misappropriation of funds, but specifically, they basically took a lot of the funds that used to fund schools
Yeah.
would come from federal programs or would come from the state through income taxes directly,
Hmm.
right? So you'd have people who are paying more in income taxes at the very top that would directly fund schools.
Yes.
In 1994, they froze the funding formula for schools. In 1994, right? So imagine that base price,
Hmm.
and every increase thereafter has had to been raised out of property taxes with school referendum after school referendum, because guess what? It doesn't cost as much as it did in 1994. We're 30 years, some years later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
So,
it's basically they just transferred from the rich who were
mhm.
paying the lion's share of that, as they generally did. Now it's being transferred to what's left of the middle class.
It's
And our
wild.
property taxes have almost doubled in the 15 some years I've been here.
Insane.
And really quick, you know, you talk about unrealized gains.
Yeah.
What are unrealized gains if not your property taxes going up every year? And yet these people want to rail against unrealized gains for billionaires in the stock market. So once again, the rich have found a way to distract away and to give themselves even more money that they don't even need.
I we were talking about all the people who are doing their taxes right now and are like, well, where's my tax
Yes.
refund for my overtime?
Hmm.
I work a lot of overtime. Yeah,
Me too.
it's. I think it was next to nothing. I
Yeah.
think I got like. I
It's
think I got like maybe $100.
he
And let me tell you,
really he
that
really
ain't much.
bamboozled people on the idea of that, and now they're finding out what it actually is.
It. If you are going to rely on the word of the Republican Party, the people who voted in Donald Trump, the people who voted in people like Glenn Grothman, who's one of his biggest cheerleaders, then you're going to be scammed.
Yeah.
And that isn't me telling you that. That's their actions telling
Hmm.
you that. That's their
It's
repeated actions telling you that.
absolutely. So we're almost out of time, but I want to so you're running for the Democrat seat.
Mhm.
You have four other people, right? In that are
Yes,
running in the primary on the Democrat side. Would you label yourself a progressive?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'm for universal health care. I support unions. Like, it was funny. I was filling out a thing for a union the other day, and I'm like, wow, I do I have to answer no to any of these? Because I know this is a real problem for a lot of the people. I was actually trained how to work through from the other side, the person
Mm-hmm.
administering this is a questionnaire we give to candidates to see if their values are going to align with the union.
Right.
And they were just talking about all the progressive things that we as progressive Dems want to do. And I'm like, yeah, can I just say yes and be done? Because it's literally a list of everything I'd like to see. I'd like to see universal health care. I'd like to see um, some method of actually making it possible for people to own homes again, to actually not just say we're going to work on this, but actually work on this. There are
Mm-hmm.
so many issues in this country that we can't just continue to say, oh, we're gonna do that, we're gonna work on that in the future.
Kicking
We
the
don't
can down the road.
we can't. The can's been kicked. We're
Yeah.
we're chasing after that can right now because, as it turns out, our economic future's in that can, and we kicked it so far down the road that we're in a world of hurt. And if we don't start railing that back and make actual structural changes to our country,
Mm-hmm.
we are not going to be able to continue as we are.
Yeah.
And everyone, I don't care how rich you are or how poor you are, everyone will suffer for that if we do not make those changes. And that's why I want to get elected.
Well, Mike, I'm a big fan of yours. I know,
Thank you.
Seth, you really enjoy talking to Mike too.
So I'm on TikTok with you guys a lot.
Yeah.
And some of my daughter's classmates saw me on TikTok. And one of my videos early on at the end, it was right before a Packer game. I said, "Go Pack, go." And they tease me about that all the time now because kids are way more politically aware than I
Oh,
ever
yeah.
was as a kid.
Oh, yeah,
They're
for
actually paying
sure.
attention to this kind of stuff.
They really
And
are.
so they were like, "Oh, cool. Hey, how's your dad's campaign going?"
I can't
That's
tell you how much I've learned from my own kids about politics.
oh,
I
I
can't tell you how much my views have evolved and changed over time as a result of my kids.
I don't think my views have changed, but I it
Mine
was
have.
moments
I'm
where
so much more progressive than I ever. I mean, you can call me a democratic socialist. I'm good with it. I would never have said that even probably 5 years ago.
I think what made me realize that my kids were growing up was I'd have to be like, oh, okay, they may have a point.
Yeah,
What what
exactly.
they're saying might
That's what I
actually
mean.
be, hey, maybe I should think about this a different way.
Hmm.
And it was generally the same idea,
Right.
but a consideration, a
And
thing that
taking it
I
a
didn't
little
think
bit
about before.
further. Yeah,
Yeah, oh
I've
yeah,
had the same experience and I love that. I love being able to see
it gives me
everything
hope.
through a different lens. It gives me hope as well.
It gives me hope.
Um, Listen, it's been a pleasure. Can you tell everyone how to support you?
So I tell people across this country, there are a huge number of candidates right now making the choice, can I continue on? And the ways to support me are the ways that any politician would need support. We need your time, we need your money, and we need you to actually talk about us to your friends and neighbors. Now, if you can do all three, great. If you can do one of them, great. Right now, everyone has the responsibility to actually do what they can. If you have the means at hand, you have the responsibility to act. And this is the time to act because you want to talk about, having the kind of politicians you actually want in office. You can't do that in the general election. By then, they've already been picked.
Yeah.
So you want to see a progressive Democrat in office. One way you could make it happen, donate to my campaign. I have the links to my Act
We'll put
Blue
them we'll
are
put them right
all over the
here.
place.
We'll put them right here.
You can also go to my website. It's Heidenreich, the number 4congress.com. And the contact information on there, if you're in my district and want to volunteer, if you're even just a little bit outside my district and want to volunteer, we'll still take you. And I'll even point out who in your district you should be supporting in your district.
I love
I, I've
that.
I've had talks with people who are just outside my district. They're like, "Can I still support you?" Of course you can. In fact, I want you to support all the other candidates who are doing the same thing I am, who you think are actually going to support your values. You should be looking at the, congressperson down in North Carolina who might be trying to actually run a campaign that agrees with your values. The only way a person like me or a person like them is going to get into office is the support of people like you, because the other option is corporate money.
Yeah.
Like my opponent has probably 3 million in the bank. You can look up where his money came from.
Oh,
You can.
oh, we will.
Oh yeah, I mean, and
I
and there's a
promise you.
large number of really good ways to do that, but just look at the FEC. It'll
Yeah,
tell
we
you
will.
where everyone gets their money from.
So in
So
post-production, we will be looking into your opposition and digging into that and happy to share that. But Seth, any final words?
I would just say, y'all, to our audience, look at what Elon Musk and the billionaires did. When you're thinking about, supporting a candidate, am I going to give money to a candidate like Mike, like anybody? Think of it as an investment in
and
your
it's not even
future.
doesn't even
Look
have
at
to
the
be a
look at
big
what
investment.
look at what Elon Musk has benefited. I mean, the ROI, I mean, 300 million is nothing. This man just arguably made about another $50 billion. So investing in your local politicians can reap benefits 10, 100-fold. And really think about that. Your $20 could go a long way and it could come back and really help you out. So that's what I would say to our audience.
And Wisconsin, our primary is not until August. So if a candidate like me wants to get elected, I cannot wait till the primary to decide
Hmm.
whether or not I'm going to have support. If I don't have support right now until August, people aren't going to know who I am.
Yeah.
So that's what I need. You guys, any money, any volunteering, any support, the earlier you do it, the more effective it will be, because it will generate that neighbor of yours who suddenly is going to be one of my best canvassers. It'll generate that relative of yours who's like, yeah, I could give some money to them. That builds and it builds and it builds and it creates something that can actually achieve something no one thought was even possible, which is a Democratic Congress that'll actually do something about what's going on right now. And
Love
I'd love
that.
to be part of it.
Love that, Mike. Listen, it was so nice talking to you.
Always
Stay
a
in
pleasure.
touch. We'll connect again because I want to see how things are going. And in the meantime, we're going to put all your information up here. Hope, help out Mike. He's a good one.
I would
No doubt.
appreciate it. You're not going to get a candidate unless you support them,
Yeah.
because I'm not taking corporate PAC money. So literally my only method of support is you guys. And that's
And
how
that's what
we
we
gotta
want.
that's
And
how we
that's
gotta
what we
do it.
want. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for your time, Mike. Thank you so
I
much.
appreciate you guys so much. Thank you very much for
Absolutely.
your
I
inaugural.
know. Our inaugural interview.
Yes,
I
sir.
really appreciate it. I am honored.
Thank you, Mike. So, Seth, what did you think about that conversation with Mike?
Oh man, that was just a breath of fresh air. Mike is the kind of guy that we're looking to platform, right? I mean, in the primaries, you can be a little bit more choosy with your Democrats. You can kind of go with like your ideal, your dream candidate, if you will. And this is almost,
Mhm.
it's like speed dating. I mean, there's a lot of people to consider, and we
I
want to
love
tell a
that.
lot of people. You want to find out a lot of information about a lot of people, and depending on what state you're in, there's you got a month, you could have 4 or 5 months. I mean, it really
Mhm.
is wild, Allie, like how widespread these states have their primaries. And until I started digging
I know.
into it, I didn't realize it. I mean, you got states with primaries in March. You got states with primaries in August.
Yeah,
Two or
his
three
is in
months
August,
before the
which is
real
crazy.
election. So I'm just
Hmm.
like, how? How is that? How is
I mean,
that? But it
I
is
don't
what it
I
is.
don't know. It's wild. I see that Jasmine Crockett is out there in Texas,
Mhm.
meeting with constituents in the community, encouraging early voting in
Yeah.
her, in Texas. And then you've got Mike on the other end of this. His primary is not until August, which gives him a full 2.5 months.
Yeah. You got the
If he
spring
wins the
and the summer.
primary,
Like,
yeah,
wow.
it's wild. It's wild. It's yeah, and we'll go through all of those timelines as we go state by state because we weren't aware, and other people may not be aware either, that your primaries are not set in stone across the country. Midterm voting is, but primaries are all over the place. But I really enjoyed talking to him.
Yeah.
I think he's such an authentic, solid, kind, um, hardworking guy that really wants to get into this for the right reasons.
Yeah, like you can feel how genuine he is when you talk with him, and
Yeah,
I hope that everybody kind of got that same vibe from him. I mean, the guy's rocking his Green Bay Packers stuff. I mean, it
I
doesn't get
know.
more
I love it.
Wisconsin than that. Like
Mm-mm.
he is that through and through. He's a union guy through and through. Almost 20
Hmm.
years in unions. I mean, this is a guy who is authentic, who lives his message, and not only does he speak it, but he lives it, right? And
Yeah.
he puts it behind, and he stays connected to those union guys, and he feels
Hmm.
their plight. And and we know a lot of people who work in unions, and they vote Republican. They vote on the right side, and
Exactly.
even to the point where they vote against their own self interest. And Mike is a guy who can really reach across the aisle and
Hmm.
and reach those voters that you desperately need, because like I was saying in the interview, Wisconsin was the closest to electing Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
There's 20,000 votes one way or the other swings the election. And as we
exactly.
know, hundreds of thousands stayed home. And that's why
Hmm.
we have Donald Trump. So y'all get out there, take a look at Mike, take a look at the other candidates. We'll be bringing you others, but that this is who can reach across the aisle in a moment where we are so divided, and so you need
Hmm.
guys like Mike.
Yeah, I agree. And so I think it's safe to say that Seth and I both are looking for Mike to win that sixth district in Wisconsin. And if we're putting him on the Chuck Bernie scale, I'm gonna slide him all the way over to the Bernie side.
All the way
What you
to the
think?
left. All the
Yeah.
way to the left. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Bernie kind of got this thing started. Mike is, he has that Bernie spirit, just a man of the people. And, progressive is where we want to go, right? I mean, we want our ideal candidate. We want a
Mm-hmm.
candidate that's going to speak for us, speak to our values, and put, at the very least, put pressure on the other candidates to come to the table and to
Yeah.
start adopting some of these progressive views. Because we've already seen, I mean, the way that Trump was just enraptured with Zoran,
I mean, he even dressed like
just
him.
charmed to death with him. I
Wild.
mean, this is
Wild.
what we're talking about. Like people like Mike, people like Zoran, they can reach across the aisle. They
Mm-hmm.
have ideas that are immensely popular in a time where nothing Trump is doing is popular at all.
Mm-mm.
So, y'all really think about this. Like, it is not out of the realm of possibility for these guys for so long. I understand it has not really been an option, but now is the time. And if not now, then when? So I'm
A
really
hundred
excited
percent.
that we got Mike. He's all the way on sliding to the Bernie side,
Yeah.
and that's what we want. That's who's going to fight for us.
Agreed. Look into Mike. There's lots of ways that you can support his campaign, whether you're in Wisconsin or outside of there. We have his information right here. Check out his website. Follow him on social media. I'm really hoping he is a breakout candidate in this primary. I'd love to see him get in.
No doubt, no doubt. Really, and good luck to Mike. I know he's got a few more months to go, so y'all sign up to help. You don't have to live in Wisconsin to help Mike out. You can throw him a little bit of money. Every little bit helps when you're running against more centrist candidates.
Mhm.
But give him a look. If you feel great about him, volunteer a little bit of your time. Like I said in the interview, it's about investing. At this
Yeah,
point, you're investing time, investing money, and and what you're trying to get is a return on investment. Somebody who will represent you to the fullest extent.
exactly. So thanks everybody for joining us on this inaugural episode.
Hey.
We've got more to come. We're going to have more interviews. When we are unable to meet with a candidate, we will still deep dive into our favorites. And we are also, speaking of deep dives, going to do other episodes of this podcast to deep dive into stories that might be getting glossed over in our news. So stay tuned for that. But Seth, it's been great to see you. It's great to talk to Mike. And go find Mike. He's our guy.
For sure. All right, Allie.
All right, take care.
Appreciate you.
Love you. Bye.